was Digimon. It failed. Then it was Yokai Watch. It failed. Then it was TemTem, and it failed. Now it's PALWORLD. The next Pokemon killer is here. Pokemon is doomed. Nintendo is going to go bankrupt tomorrow. They aren't going to be able to keep their doors open. The companies are going to shut down the power to all of their buildings. They're going to have to sell Mario to PlayStation. You are going to get Super Mario World, 3D World on the PS4. It is going to happen because Nintendo is doomed. Nintendo is done. Palia has 150,000 players on Steam day one, and that is no way a manufactured number that was pulled out of someone's ass. It's completely real, just like Baldur's Gate 3, just like Starfield, Like, I know nobody talks about these games anymore. Nobody even remembers TemTem. Nobody remembers this thing that came out of nowhere that was supposed to be the sword and shield killer, right? It was supposed to be the Pokemon killer. It was supposed to be the big thing. It was supposed to eradicate Nintendo. It was supposed to, prove that Nintendo was failing at their own game, that there were so many other better alternatives to Pokemon, including Dragon Quest XI, Digimon Cyber Sleuth, and just Yokai Watch 4, which never actually left Japan. All of these games were way better than anything Game Freak has ever produced. Game Freak was just a fluke. All they have is Pokemon, the biggest IP in the world. If they didn't have access to the IP that they made, they would be an irrelevant gaming studio. Never mind that we don't talk about this when it comes to Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto or any other studio that's reliant on one IP. Let's just attack Pokemon relentlessly. Let's just ignore, all of the high quality games we've gotten over the years. Let's just ignore that Sword and Shield was great, that Scarlet and Violet was great. In fact, we can't just ignore it. We have to pretend these games were bad. Right? We have to pretend these games were unplayable, that they were on par with Cyberpunk 2077, which is actually a good game and has been saved, by the way. These are the worst games ever made, the most glitchy games I've ever seen, even though I've never played them. And it is only a matter of time until something replaces Pokemon. Something becomes bigger than the biggest gaming IP in the world, right? Something proves that Nintendo is going to fail, right? It's the same thing we've always seen, right? It's really interesting because what's going on with Pokemon right now, it's very similar to what was happening with Nintendo in the Wii U era, where a bunch of people just came crawling out of the woodwork, trying desperately to pretend the company was on brink of failure, in spite of unrivaled success, right? That was the trend we were seeing in the Wii years and going up until the Switch launch, was that everyone was pretending that the games are getting worse, Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing, they're on the way out, they can't compete with the real games on other platforms, and their attempts at continuing that narrative today have kind of fallen flat on their faces because there just is no competition, right? You can't say that Jak and Daxter is better than Mario because it has voice acting and stories when Jak and Daxter doesn't get made anymore, first of all. But secondly, when Mario remains more popular than Jak and Daxter ever was. Who do you even know who even remembers Jak and Daxter, right? But there was a very real push to pretend that those games were better than what Nintendo was doing at the time, right? Sly Cooper as well, even though the differences in quality are just insane, right? So going through the Nintendo years, going through the GameCube to the Wii to the Wii U era, there was this very big push at pretending that a lot of the established Nintendo franchises had fallen off, right? There was a very big thing. But one of the IPs that actually felt like it kind of hit a golden age around that period was Pokemon. It had its revitalization period with Soul Silver, the Gen 4 remakes, and then Gen 5. It had Pokemon X and Y, which were the first 3D games in the series. It was a big time of revolution and change for Pokemon,
right? So like it was actually Pokemon was unrivaled in its niche, in its genre, and it still is today. But like the issue since then is that people have gotten it into their heads that like Pokemon should be like every other franchise, you know, emphasizing realism, emphasizing like the AAA experience, emphasizing like, you know, big epic storylines, you know, like emphasizing that like that it's a mature franchise for mature gamers, that we're not kids anymore, right? Like, you know, completely losing Pokemon's entire identity purely to appeal to like this dwindling demographic of 30-year-old man children who just can't let go of a children's video game franchise, right? Like it's interesting because this is the same kind of thing that happened going into Gen 2 and Gen 3, right? Where the people who grew up in the Pokemania period in Gen 1 spent like about a decade pretending that the new games were bad and that only the first generation mattered, that everything that happened in Gen 2, 3, 4, and 5 were just terrible, right? And eventually what ended up happening was because this attitude became so typical and so like stereotypical, like it eventually started being made fun of. And eventually you don't really see those people anymore, right? Because they just got mocked off the internet. And I do think it's the same thing is happening now, right? We're in the early process of that happening again. Because Scarlet and Violet was absolutely a very nice change of pace for the Pokemon IP, with like having multiple storylines going on at once, being open world, having like this really good, one of the best endings we've ever seen in any mainline Pokemon game, right? You know, Scarlet and Violet were fantastic games, but there is a very dedicated group of people out there who are actively trying to prevent that from becoming like accepted by the mainstream. It's very similar to what's happening with Tears of the Kingdom now, but whereas Tears of the Kingdom is generally accepted to be a great game, like Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon in general, there does seem to be a little bit of an acceptance that Pokemon is like on a downturn cycle right now, which isn't really true, but like people like going through Gen 8, the Gen 8 period, were really willing to go along with this idea that like they were screwing over the fans, that they weren't giving people what they want, and that some other developer should show up and make a Pokemon-like game that was better than them and like show them how it was done. And so many people have tried putting forward a game that could compete with Pokemon. You know, I named Digimon Cyber Sleuth, I named Dragon Quest XI, I named like dozens of other examples, right? You know, I named a lot of games out there, but like the reality is there is no video game franchise that will come out of nowhere and eclipse Pokemon in its niche, right? The things that will eventually like topple Pokemon from the most popular franchise in the world, it's going to be a completely new, different thing. It isn't going to be a rehash of the same concept, right? And even now, like, you can kind of see with, like, Yokai Watch and Dragon Quest Monsters and, like, all this other stuff, like, it's not an exact Pokemon clone, right? Every time a company has tried to make a Pokemon clone, it's fallen flat on its face because they will never be able to recapture, like, the phenomenon of what Pokemon brought to the table with its setting, with its characters, with like its world building. It was just like this perfect storm of just amazing creativity that just really caught on with the public. You know, no other AAA game is going to hit that much. Like, it was considered a major milestone when Dragon Quest Monsters hit 1 million units sold on Switch, right? And meanwhile, Pokemon is selling like what, 25 times that? Like, and that was a well-received example. You know, Yokai Watch 4 wasn't well received. Cyber Sleuth wasn't well received. Like, Dragon Quest XI did fine, but like you're talking about one of the most profitable major mainstream Japanese RPGs franchises on the planet, right? Like, comparing Pokemon to that is like it's the closest thing that's come to Pokemon, right? But it's still not even close enough. And every year it feels like there's like some new game that people want to push out there that's going to kill Pokemon, that's going to eclipse it, that's just going to like take Pokemon's thunder and just completely ruin Nintendo's livelihood, right? Like I said, this happens all the time. You know, 10 years ago it was Yokai Watch. Back in the Gen 8 days it was TemTem, right? That was seriously pushed as like a serious alternative to Pokemon at the time. And then now we have PALWORLD. And the interesting thing about PALWORLD is its major claim to fame, which happens every single time. This happened to like TemTem as well. The major claim to fame is that like YouTubers are playing it and 150,000 people are playing it on Steam. Now, first of all, let's get one thing clear. Like YouTubers are 100% shills, right? When I saw Angry Joe playing TemTem, I didn't think to myself like, "Oh man, this game is so good. It got Angry Joe's attention." I thought to myself like, "Oh, he's selling a product." Right? He is shilling this game because the company struck a deal with him, right? And that's what I'm seeing here with this coverage of this game. Whenever I see coverage of any of these indie games, right? It's either like a meme game that everyone is playing anyway, or there's a straight up like behind the scenes publicity deal, right? Like I don't believe the shilling for like these Harvest Moon knockoffs or things like Undertale or Organic, right? Like I think with Baldur's Gate 3, with how that was promoted, how everyone called it the Game of the Year contender, how it like was shilled as like Game of the Year, how it was like pushed as like the greatest thing ever, only to be completely forgotten at a couple of months after launch. Like I think that's a really good indication of like what the current state of the gaming industry is, where these people are desperately trying to remain to posture as being relevant by faking player counts, right? Like, isn't it interesting how, like, the thing that's used to prove that a game is popular is, like, player counts on Steam or things like that? Like, because, like, I think more and more people are, like, being skeptical of, like, sales numbers, right? Because we've seen more and more often how that doesn't translate to actual popularity. Horizon Zero Dawn being an excellent example, where it supposedly sold 20 million copies for Zero Dawn, and then the sequel didn't pull anywhere near that. There was no enthusiasm for it whatsoever, right? The Last of Us Part 2, they'll try to tell you it sold over 10 million copies. But there's no way that's true, considering like the situation that game was in and how unpopular it was at launch. Like it sold like under 4 million at launch, from what I understand. Like it's just not the numbers they release and like the statements they make and like the claims they have about their player bases, like they don't make any sense, right? Especially when they like come out of nowhere, like PALWORLD does, right? Like TemTem did, right? Like every single time there's like this big mass market like shilling campaign trying to convince you that this like random indie game on Steam is some big like success story and super popular, but in reality it's just a thing that's just being pushed and shilled by the community. It is obnoxious for sure. I think I think this year I'm definitely going to be talking a little bit more about like the player count thing, because I've been seeing this a lot. I've been seeing this a lot when people like hype this up, like, oh, Baldur's Gate 3 has 300,000 players on Steam alone. Which, first of all, they were saying that back when it was a Steam exclusive. So in theory, like, it was perfectly possible that, like, yeah, Zelda has more concurrent players at the same time. We just don't have a means to measure it. But secondly, it's like, who cares anyway? Who cares how many people are playing the game at the same time as you, right? It's such a weird thing. And especially since they had, like, really odd disclaimers, like claiming that, like, oh, it's the most played single-player game when it actually has multiplayer features. Like they were like pushing all this really dishonest stuff, like trying to paint this idea that this was like the greatest game ever. I've heard people say it was like the most critically acclaimed game of the past decade. It's not. I've heard people say it was the most critically acclaimed game this year. It's not. I've heard people say it was like one of the best-selling games on Steam this year. It's not. Hogwarts Legacy is confirmed to have outsold it, right? So like to me, it seems more and more that like there are certain games and projects and studios that lean onto the social media machine to like hype up their product and sell them. And then there are others that don't really do that, right? Hogwarts Legacy, I think, is a really interesting like anti-example of that, where they knew it was going to sell anyway because of the brand recognition and the name. So they didn't really need the support of like the YouTubers or what have you. So they just kind of created like they just came out and just did their thing, and like Jeff Keighley didn't give it any game awards and stuff like that because they didn't really play ball with them in that specific instance. But like that's typically not true, right? Like there are a lot of instances that we see a lot of these communities just going like just going wild over this random product that like nobody is gonna remember like 5 years from now, right? Like I've commented this before, but it's shocking to me as someone who like plays a lot of Harvest Moon how little interest I have in Stardew Valley, right? Like I've seen the girls, I've seen the gameplay, I've seen what Stardew Valley is, but it's just not a very good farming sim, and like the community will never admit it because they've just never played any good ones. But like the reality is that like it is a straight up ripoff of Harvest Moon, and like people can cope all they want about that. Like it's a major update from the one on 64, but the reality is it's just not that spectacular, right? It's just not that good, and you see that a lot with a lot of these meme games, right? You see that a lot with Undertale, how people kind of refuse to admit like the game isn't very good and that it doesn't live up to the hype. You see that a lot with like FNAF, or at least you used to. Like you see that a lot with like a lot of these projects, and I have to wonder if like we're reaching the point where people see that like, oh, this game has 150,000 concurrent players on Steam, and start like seeing that as a red flag. Because if that is specifically the thing you're talking about when this big new game hits the market, like, then the game itself isn't very good. Because you should be talking about the game itself. You should be talking about its mechanics, its features, the things you do in the game, like cool story beats, cool moments that you can do, like creative ways you can go about playing the game. What high skill level play is like. You should be talking about the game itself, right? But that doesn't happen. Not with Baldur's Gate 3, not with this, not with TemTem. Like, the entire hype cycle is entirely based around this idea that, like, oh, it's more popular than this other thing. How much of Baldur's Gate 3's relevancy came from this idea that, like, oh, it's the game of the year. It's the most hyped game ever from game journalists. Like, let's ignore the fact that game journalists aren't reliable sources of information and that they don't play games. Like, are we really going to take Angry Joe seriously? Like, have you seen his top 10 games of the years list, right? Do you really think we can take this guy seriously? Someone who didn't even try Zelda or Mario or Pikmin? Like, why would we ever take this pleb seriously? And I think with PALWORLD, if I see people, like, if I see a bunch of streamers playing it, if I see, like, people talking about, like, player counts, or like, ooh, how it's going to kill Pokemon, like, I just kind of roll my eyes and ignore it. Because we've seen this happen before. And it got really tiresome, I think even in, like, the Yokai Watch days, right? Like, I remember how much the community, like, really hated that marketing, like, that stunt they tried to pull. Like, they really tried to make Yokai Watch, like, the next big thing. You would see toys in bookstores. You would see people, like, say, oh, there's an anime. It's going to be the next Pokemon. You would see, like, the games. Like, I remember, like, the game would get an updated re-release. And people would say, oh, it's doing really well, guys. It's doing really well. And it just doesn't, right? Level 5 completely collapsed. Because, not just because of Yokai Watch, but because of, like, the shift to mobile and stuff like that. But, like, Yokai Watch did not save them, right? Yokai Watch was not some big phenomenon, like, worldwide the way Pokemon was, right? It completely fell off the map because of mismanagement, because, like, the games weren't capable of competing with Pokemon, right? Right? Like, I don't know anybody today who cares about Yokai Watch. Right? That is the grim reality of that specific franchise. Like, it's to the point where, like, Yokai Watch 4, I think, was, like, a Japanese exclusive or something like that. It was, like, it was legit, like, a reboot. Like, they rebooted the franchise this early on in its relevancy because they completely botched the progression of, like, the story and the plot and the characters, and they just had to reboot everything. And, that was a game that for a brief period of time was really heavily shilled on social media. I saw Screw Attack talking about it, even though it wasn't the kind of game they would play. I saw, like, people trying to, like, throw Jimbanyan everywhere. Like, they were trying to make it into a mascot. They were trying to push him as, like, this thing. Like, oh, he's a cat who tries to fight incoming traffic. Isn't that hilarious? Like, I saw people try to do that, and it just didn't stick, right? And it was the same thing with TemTem. Right, YouTubers were covering it. They were calling it like the best possible alternative to Pokemon, and the game came out and nobody cares. You know, when it came out on Switch, did anybody like fall over backwards for it? Like, it's available on Switch. Didn't even try it. You know, didn't even consider playing it, right? Like, the idea that like it was going to be bigger than Pokemon was laughable. Like, it's so odd in this case because like all these guys make this big deal about this idea that Pokemon is small, that it hasn't evolved enough, that it's the same thing over and over again, that it's primitive, that it's uninspired. But meanwhile, they praise stuff like Dragon Quest, right? Which has been the same thing over and over again for 30 years at this point, 40 years almost at this point. You know, they praise stuff like TemTem, which is a straight up rehash of Pokemon. You know, they praise stuff like this that looks even more primitive and uninspired than Pokemon does, right? Like, you know, you don't need high-end graphical, you know, hardware to like get across these goofy monster designs. I would argue, in fact, it's like a major part of the series appeal that like the monsters aren't realistic, that they do have like this cartoony vibe to them, and that like that's a major reason why the series has remained so popular, right? Like, it's not supposed to be realistic. It's not supposed to be like Grand Theft Auto or Skyrim or like any hardcore RPGs. Actually, Pokemon is way more hardcore than like your favorite RPGs, but I digress. Like, it is frustrating seeing that YouTubers look at TemTem, look at Pokemon, and then with a completely straight face try and tell you this looks better, right? It is so frustrating seeing them do the same thing with PALWORLD, right? Like, it is the same thing we've been getting for years, literal years, and like they're just gonna keep doing the same trick over and over and over again, as if like Gen 10 isn't gonna come out like in 2000, let's see, is it 2026? Let's see, Scarlet and Violet. When did Scarlet and Violet come out? Was it 2020? Yeah, it was 2022. So yeah, 2025. As if we're not going to get like Gen 10 next year and have it be like this major thing, right? Like, if it's not going to blow all that out of the water, right? There has been no decline in Pokemon sales. Actually, they've gone up. Like, it's true, like, I would say, considering the Switch's popularity, that Pokemon sales should be a lot higher, but, like, you know, and the sales went down because of the negative publicity, right? But, like, they're still pretty high. You know, 20 million units sold. Like, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet outsold Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that's how big these games are. Like, you're not going to gaslight the audience into thinking the games are bad, especially when you obviously don't play the games yourself, right? That is the issue that a lot of these YouTubers are having, is that they're crying about Pokemon, crying about its alleged difficulty problems and its alleged like issues with like the general games themselves, but they don't play the games. They don't see how they evolve. They don't see like what changes and what doesn't. They don't understand the game at all, right? And but the fan base does. And as a result of that, like, we've seen this interesting shift where like mainstream Nintendo YouTubers, gaming YouTubers will still pretend that Pokemon is like the worst thing ever, but Pokemon ones, you know, the actual core community, have been like talking about like everything that's amazing about Scarlet and Violet. You know, the improved characters, right? The amazing finale, right? The cool new Pokemon, the open world, right? The multiple story paths, right? There's a lot to like about Scarlet and Violet. Like, I would say it's probably one of the most innovative titles we've gotten since like Gen 2, right? It's really that different, right? It's really a big radical shift in like tone and stuff like that, and stuff that I really, really enjoyed. But right now, we are in this era where the general gaming gaming community does not want to admit it. They want to keep up this farce that Pokemon is bad and that like Nintendo is like in this rough patch with the franchise and they're never going to get out of it. That Game Freak is one of the worst in the industry or whatever. And it's just not going to stick, right? Like, it's been the same thing over and over and over and over with them, right? We've seen them do this time and time again with all sorts of franchises, and it always ends the same way. Like, actual fans start to push back against this, right? like Super Mario Bros is a really interesting example, right? Where everybody spent years attacking the new Super Mario Bros games, calling them stale, calling them derivative, calling them uninspired, and then what happens? Wonder comes out, and first of all, everybody's over the moon about Wonder, right? It fixes all of the alleged problems that new Super Mario Bros had. But meanwhile, there are people like me, hardcore fans of new Super Mario Bros, who will continue talking about how great the game was, even 10, 20 years from now, right? I still love new Super Mario Bros, even though that Super Mario Bros. Wonder is like such a big improvement in a lot of ways, right? Just like I still defend, like stand by Gen 7, 4, 5, like how much I still like Pokemon, even if like they're not as I don't like them as much as Gen 9 or 5 or the 4 remakes or what have you, right? Like there is the real fans will keep talking about these games years after these grifters are forced to move on because they have to cover some other topic. And that's kind of the issue the community is having. Like, I know RGT85 has released statements about it, where he tries calling the community fanboys who aren't willing to criticize the Pokemon Company or Nintendo's like, oh, I'm just trying to be honest. The IP is dead. They haven't released any good Pokemon games this year. Completely neglecting they just released Scarlet and Violet the year before, and they released DLC, and they released Detective Pikachu Returns. Like, let's ignore, like, all of that. Like, it's crazy how he tries, like, implying, oh, Pokemon Legends Arceus, that was the last good one they put out when that came out early 2022. Like, it wasn't that long ago, bro. Like, even if, in the hypothetical situation that, like, Scarlet and Violet was bad, like, you still admitted Legends Arceus, which came out the same year, was good. Like, who are you trying to fool here, right? Like, it really feels as if the community is really struggling to try and keep the narrative towards Pokemon negative, because outside of that, like, Dexit thing in Gen 8, like, there's been no momentum behind, like, the anti-Pokemon movement, right? If, like, all the biggest YouTubers in the world can't convince people that, like, your brand sucks, like, it's probably not that bad, like, it's just blind fanboyism. No, it's really not. Like, I've talked about this before, but, like, I really, 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 really love Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I think a lot of other people do as well, right? I haven't been following, like, the general online discussion of this. Like, I think I tuned in a little bit, like, in regards to, like, the DLC and how they handled that to see how well that was received. And it was very, very, very positively received. Like, people loved that. And I think I agree. I think the DLC is one of the more interesting things they've done in with DLC so far in this regard. And I'm kind of interested in seeing what they do in the future with, like, similar ideas, going more off the wall, being more original, introducing characters from other regions. Like, there's a lot of potential for things they could do in future installments, right? But, like, the thing is, like, none of these people have actually played the DLC, right? Like, the people who are criticizing these games, like people like Damage, people like RGT85, like, they're not people who play the games. Like, it's really interesting seeing them pretend as if the game is, like, this super glitchy, buggy mess, when in reality, like, you can catch me streaming the game whenever, right? I've streamed the game several times, and I had no problems at all. There were no issues, and, like, people try to say I'm coping, but in reality, no, the game is perfectly fine. It's not Cyberpunk 2077 like so many people try to point it out as. And keep in mind, like, these guys are still trying to point to Cyberpunk 2077 as, like, a negative thing when, like, on other videos, a lot of them are defending it. Angry Joe put it on his top 10 games of 2023 list. Like, that's how bad the Cyberpunk shielding has gotten. But no, Pokemon is still a problem. It's, like, worse than a Cyberpunk. I'm surprised they haven't tried to push that narrative, but will chill morning streams be a regular thing? I think so. They're doing really, really, really well. I really enjoy doing them, and I really need to, like, do live updates. Like, I need to sell more books, right? So I need to, like, sit here and, like, tell you, like, oh yeah, go to my description and, like, pre-order American Evil today. Pre-order Clover Volume 4 coming out in February 12th, 2024 today. Actually, I really need to do a Black Cat Books Direct because Clover's coming out. But, like, I have been trying to do more live streams because I've had some success with them. People like seeing them. People like seeing me like rant about certain things, and like I like doing them. I enjoy doing them, and there's just so much to talk about. Like when it comes to like these pre-recorded topics, I've been having problems like talking about things as they happen because that used to be what I did was that like I used to record several videos a day and then like talk about like everything that's been going on. But now that's no longer possible. So I think with a live stream, if I do like an hour-long live stream, a daily show, and just like talk about everything as it happens, build up a steady audience, monetize it, remind people that I'm a published author that needs to sell books, donate to Patreon, stuff like that. Like when if I do that every day, I think like I could like start building up a bigger audience on the books, right? Like I really really want to aim for American Evil being my best selling novel ever is the thing, and I do think changing up my format is essential. I think I've considered that maybe I should stop like doing gameplay streams entirely and maybe stop doing like the old style videos and do this instead. I don't know. It's I, I've been having some success with those methods as well. So I feel like this is just gonna be the typical, like just another thing I do, which is which is becoming a problem already because there was that one day where I came home like a little bit late, like I skipped the grocery store, like I didn't have fruits or vegetables. I just came home, charged the phone for 20 minutes, and I did that 40-minute stream. Like what was it about? That was the one where I talked about like the attack on the community, I think. I wouldn't have made like a pre-recorded video about that, but like because it was like a live show, because like people were like attuned to what was going on and I could like explain things like live, it worked out for me pretty well. And there were some delusional people out there who thought the video was about them, and it really wasn't. I don't know. It's weird because my channel is being targeted now by certain groups of people, and it's I do need to have like a more active presence online to kind of talk about things, talk about like dispute certain allegations, talk about like controversies regarding like the brand and some of my opinions and stuff like that, and like it's just not always possible in pre-recorded videos, but. Yeah, but like I need to do it. Okay, like I need to do more. Like I need to put myself out there more. I need to become successful, right? Like it needs to happen, right? It's not just I can't just like do nothing, right? Like I have to work near constantly. I'm never ever going to become successful unless I like just do things constantly, do something to sell more books. So like this is the thing that's this is the avenue that seems to have been opened up to me since like I unlocked since I have like became a YouTube partner. So like to me like it makes sense to do it every day or try to do it every day and like talk about every topic that comes up and talk about things. It's important to me to be very active in the online community, to dispute like every single narrative that comes up, because like legit real talk, like if I waited until tonight to upload a video talking about PALWORLD, or like actually I have a video coming out tonight, so I think so like if I had to wait a couple of days, like the game might already be irrelevant by that point. People might have already seen through the smoke screen. Like I have to do it now. Like, I have to do it live and talk about, like, every argument as it comes up. Like, oh, how do you know the player counts are fake? Or how do you know that, like, YouTubers don't actually like the game? Like, because YouTubers don't like games in general. Like, it's like, I just, again, like, I don't feel, I felt for a very long time that I haven't been able to do enough when it comes to, like, talking about every single little thing that goes on in this community. Like I've done the very best I can. I've covered topics like days in advance. I've been uploading videos near constantly. I've been doing this, I've been doing that. I've been like, addressing specific individuals. I've been like debunking leakers. I've been talking about like conspiracies. I've been talking about like corporate espionage, like how SquareSoft fell from grace by backstabbing Nintendo and how that destroyed the entire company. Like I talk about all these things that nobody else talks about, and yet like I just don't do it enough, because in a lot of ways this knowledge that I have is still not mainstream. There are still people acting as if PC gaming is superior, that like Capcom's gonna like all of these third parties are just like doing the right thing by siding with companies other than Nintendo, when in reality they're just shooting themselves in the foot and like screwing over their fans for like a short-term gain, basically. Like again, I should be talking about like every single game. I should be addressing every single narrative. Like I should have talked down about Baldur's Gate 3 more. I should have talked down about every single character. I should have talked about every single quest line. I should have talked about like, the decline the game goes through as it goes on. I should have talked about like, how boring it is. I should have talked about its visual quality, how CRPG fans thinks it's amazing that this game is fully voice acted. Like I should have been there from day one telling you that the game was bad. And because it was overshadowed by like everything else, like I saw Starfield getting wrecked by it as like W, right? Because like, Bethesda is such like an established industry icon, and I'm still stuck in that like 2011 mindset where like everyone was pretending that Skyrim was going to replace Zelda, that it was like way better, and that like it was the best thing ever. Like I was stuck in that mindset. And there was a reason for that. That like I do feel as if it was like more important that we acknowledge that like Starfield was a failure, that like Baldur's Gate 3 isn't gonna like explode in popularity. It's not gonna magically become relevant. But like at the same time, like yeah, like Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't impressive either. Alan Wake 2 wasn't impressive on either. Like all the indie games that have been pushed this year aren't worth talking about. Like you have like all these like things that surface in the community that like I simply just don't have time. Let's see. Time to cover, right? Like it's legit like an issue where for a long time where like I just feel as if like, I can't talk about every single issue, and it just has been like weighing me down for like the past couple of years, where like I feel like I prioritize the books, like I prioritize other things in my life, and it just kind of feels more and more as if like what's really important to me, and the most important thing has always been to enjoy Nintendo games, to not be harassed for enjoying Nintendo games, right? To have other people around me who appreciate Nintendo games, right? People who like the fact that I know so much about this stuff and value it and want to hear me talk about it, right? Like I love that about the channel. And in a lot of ways, I feel as if like I haven't been able to keep up with that, right? Like Ys 10 is the example I keep going back to, and I think Dragon Quest Monsters is like another recent example. Like I had a very specific idea of what I thought the game was going to be like going in. I thought I was going to love or hate it, and then like I spend some time with it, and I have like a completely different reaction to what I initially expected. But like that entire process took like several months, and like I just don't like I didn't talk about DQ Monsters when it first came out like I should have. Because in a lot of ways, yeah, I think the game is really, really good, but at the same time, kind of terrible. I rage at it on stream because of like the way they handle story elements and stuff like that. I have really real problems with that game in spite of how fun it is. And then meanwhile, Ys 9 is just like has such a strong start and then just falls off. But because I'm not like actively covering how I feel about these games every day, like I just don't feel as if I'm expressing how things are going to you guys, right? How things are going with like, you know, my views on gaming and like what I'm enjoying playing, what I'm talking about, what I'm excited for and stuff like that. It's like I'm not doing enough all the time. And it's just so frustrating. I just Yeah, long edited videos. Yeah, I know. It's really hard. It's a lot harder than people realize to make good edited content. It's one of the reasons why I can't do it. Like I legit thought that I might produce a review of Trace Memory, that I would just like rip the stream footage and just like compile it and just do a quick rundown of what the game is like and a review of it and stuff like that. And I'm not sure how long that's gonna take. And like plus like I have the issue of like how long is the playthrough gonna be? Like, do I want to review the game now before I finished it? It's legit a problem. And like tonight, I like played a lot of Trace Memory, like 3 hours of it. But I also went and like played a bunch of other games. You know, I played like Dragon Quest Monsters before it came out, like before I got it. Like I played a bunch of other stuff. You know, a little bit of Valis was great. I played like some N64 games. Did some things in Mario 64. Right, like I've done a bunch of things I've never done before, and yeah, Trace Memory was great. But at the same time, it's like, when am I gonna find the time to go back and like edit all of this into like an edited review? Right, like I'm probably gonna have to do this thing where I just like do the vlog thing again or do a live stream review because it's just quicker, right? And I don't know, I just don't know if it's viable for me at this stage. Or like doing edited content, like I definitely would like to, but it's like one of those things where I'm just like, hmm, I don't know. I just don't think it's suited for me. Like more and more, I think like live streaming is probably the way to go for me when it comes to like growing the YouTube channel and stuff like that. I think just doing what I'm doing now is probably a good way to do it. Like I guess we could talk about Trace Memory since I'm up and talking about it. Collaborate with people who don't troll me. I think in a lot of ways, I don't think there are any good YouTubers, right? Like, I don't think there are any gaming YouTubers that like actually want to talk about games. Like, I just feel as if right now I'm kind of all alone here, just watching everybody else spurg out over like stupid things that don't matter. You know, things like the Switch 2, right? Like you asked me to collab, but like who would I collab with? Like that's like the question that's been on my mind, is that like I don't think anybody who loves games should become a gaming YouTuber. I think you should just commit yourself to just playing as many games as possible, right? It just feels like a complete waste of time. 8-bit Eric stream. Like, yeah, I just saw like, yeah, like I went on the 8-bit Eric thing for VGL, right? Like I have no interest in 8-bit Eric. I have no idea who he is. Like never heard of him before. Like he's just a basic YouTuber that I haven't interacted with since or before, right? Like I don't know anything about 8-bit Eric. It was nice like going on a stream with like a bigger YouTuber and like talking trash about VGL. You know, seeing that play out. I'm kind of surprised people remember that happened, but like, yeah, it was a lot of fun in that sense, but like it wasn't about video games. It was like a drama stream. I was just like, it was like, what was it, like a Saturday night? I had nothing else going on, and I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna talk about like the things that VGL did, like with this other YouTuber, and then it kind of snowballed into this situation. It was a lot of fun, but like at the same time, it's well, when is that gonna happen again? You know, like I try to make it a point not to do drama streams like that. I kind of take pride in it. So like for me, it's like um, that was a once in like a blue moon thing because I don't want to bully VGL. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want like anything to do with him. Like it kind of frustrates me whenever he comes up, and I understand that it's because like he's constantly talking about me, but like at the same time, it's like okay, like I'm better than him. I know I'm better than him. Like I'm not gonna sink to his level and like talk about like nonsense like he talks about. Like I just don't. I don't care what he thinks. You know, I don't care what the PlayStation gamer thinks. I don't care what those two guys think. I don't care what like oh no it's Alex thinks. I don't care what like any of those guys think. Like why would I? Like they're not gamers, right? They're plebs. Yeah, editing for me has like been I've been like trying to make like very lightly edited videos like that top five PC exclusives video I made that I popped that out and I got in like less than an hour. Like I've been trying to make like easy to edit things that are mostly carried by like monologues and stuff like that. Like Nintendo Dance don't take me too long to make either, but it's like yeah, I don't have the time. And it's just like yeah, like my typical night is just like me doing several things like all the time, right? You know, I am working on American Evil before and after streams. I am like preparing for something else I have to do. You know, I am like you know trying to promote my books or like doing stuff like planning video topics or like doing whatever, right? And I just don't. Um, I've been struggling to kind of grow the brand for a while now. It feels like lately it's been kind of stagnant in a lot of ways. Draw the Dragon wasn't super successful. Uh, it sold significantly less than Lauren Frey, and I just wasn't happy with the book in general. So it's like it's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, like what do I need to do? Like I need to work more. I need to like do more. I need to like innovate. I need to like really push myself, and I just don't feel as if like anything I'm doing is like really gonna fix the core problem of where I find myself right now. But like it's just I'm trying my best, and it's gonna work itself out eventually. But like, you know, I remember like even 3 years ago, like well, it's been longer than that now. Like I remember when I first started working, like I remember like how I genuinely thought that I wouldn't have a be able to work a real job ever, and like it's kind of all fallen into place for me. I think, even if like everyone hates me there, and it's it's not really ruining my life in and of itself. And it's helped me quite a lot, and I'm very grateful. And for me, it's like, but like, it's in a way holding me back from like really doing what I really want to do is like talk about great video games, write great books, like do like the things I want to do, right? It just feels like this schedule is just like kind of destroying me. I just Yeah, like the thing with VGL is that like it really, really needed to be talked about then, right? Because he was like raging over a bunch of other YouTubers. Like it was something that needed to be talked about. Um, like the way he acts, the way he treats other people, it's disgusting. It really is. I will never not say that. Like it's not just me that's getting targeted. It's like everyone that interacts with him. Like people who are like on his side initially have started turning on him. Well, started they did it like years and years ago. Like people like Jacob Shooter are like pro Harmon Smith now. Like I've seen them do pro Harmon Smith streams because of here I am doing Nick Mechanic kitchen stuff. I've seen these people rage about VGL and things he's did to them and things he said to them. And then like they turned around and said that like, you know, Harmon Smith hasn't done anything like that. Like it's kind of interesting how I have this reputation for being such a terrible person and like the reality is so different. Not that I'm not a terrible person, but I'm not a terrible person offline online. Um Again because like I feel like more and more that I consider my online personality like my real self and like the me in real life is just like an imposter that I'm not a real person at all and yeah I've always kind of felt that way but It's becoming more and more pronounced for sure. And as a result of that, because I'm able to be my true self, right? I am kind of, yeah, I am happier. I feel more accepted. I no longer, very rarely care when other people fuck me over. It's like, it doesn't happen as much anymore anyway. But um, like I think another couple of years of this and all of my problems will go away. I just have to keep working on it. Like honestly, like part of me thinks that like once I get the car problem resolved, if I deal with that, I'll deal with all the issues associated with that. That'll be the end of it, hopefully. But we'll see. We'll see. I understand there'll always be problems, but I think I've been dealing with all of mine very effectively. Honestly, at this point, I'm more concerned about like the long term trauma. Like I'm more concerned about like how everything is just affecting me personally. Mm. Mm. I don't know. Like last year, I was concerned that I would like would never be able to get married. I stopped worrying about that. You know, years ago, it was about like the income. That's no longer an issue. Now it's about like I think the worst thing now is that like I'm not really sure what the problem is. I'm happier than ever, and yet somehow I feel as if, in a way, this isn't what I wanted. Mm. Yeah, like I think a part of me wants to be myself in real life, and I've just never had the opportunity to do it. Hmm. No one ever cared about me. Uh, let's see. The George Floyd video. I keep seeing people talk about that. Like, oh man, what a hot take. Like, what a crazy thing that a criminal should have been arrested by the police. Like, that's such a weird narrative. I don't know. It'll be nice when like the general public just kind of forgets about who George Floyd was. Like, I'm sure it'll happen in like the next 10 years. I don't know. I think with like shows like South Park, like a lot of these things just kind of like stay relevant way longer than they would have otherwise. Like I saw a clip show a while back about like Zimmerman, and I think that was like a similar situation, like kind of the opposite. I don't know anything about that, but like you have to wonder if just like people's like understanding of these situations are like controlled by these like stupid comedy programs that aren't supposed to be taken seriously, right? Like I South Park is propaganda. I've talked about this a lot, but started from the bottom. Yeah, I feel like I started below that in a way, but like yeah, I've talked about that before, but it's like I don't know. In a way, I kind of feel like I'm at the bottom now. Like I'm finally starting to live like my real life. It's like I hate to make this comparison because it sounds cringy as fuck, but it's like Entangled, where like Rapunzel is doing that thing where like, oh, when does my life begin? And that was like me for like almost like significantly longer than she was. Like it's like it's relatable, but like, why did it take so long? Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like it never did, but. Yeah, yeah, are these my equivalent of like the Ricada like kitchen streams where he just talks about bullshit that nobody cares about? Like that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm pathetic. Spin it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I know, I know. I don't know. It's like, I don't think anybody who like knows anything about like the Harmon Smiths detracting community will like take them seriously. Like I really think that like at a certain point they'll like the general population will try to like, you know, they're trying to push me as like a lolcow, right? You know, I legit have a Kiwi Farms thread now. It's like the least active thread on the board, but like it exists. And like it's like it's crazy how like the entire thing basically amounts to like, oh, he likes Nintendo a lot. And it's like, how is this going to convince anybody that like I'm an insane person? You know, it's just not gonna work. Yeah, like I don't even know. Like I've seen people throw like Christian comparisons out there in regards to my love of Nintendo. Like, but like, bro, like, you know anything about Christian? Do you know anything about what he's done? About what he's like? It's like I'm not. I'm nothing like that. Yeah. Wait, hang on. Is it? Oh, there we go. Doopy-doopy-doo. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm just using a phone. Like I did some research and I'm just like, "Oh, what's the best thing to stream with?" And everyone's just like, "Just use an iPhone, bro." Like, and I'm just like I'm just inside like, "Okay, I'm going to try it." And yeah, it works. Like I think the reason why I didn't do it before was because I think they don't let you do it if you're not a partner. Like they don't want like anybody doing it and like stripping or whatever, doing pulling like a boogie. But like like I've seen like you know or doing what Worski did, the fucking dipshit, like going out in public and like screaming racial slurs out into like crowds and like what was he doing? What was that thing he did in Florida? He had like the robot voice and it was screaming something about like the Confederacy or something. And like he's a stupid Canadian, an uninformed like fuck who probably couldn't point to Florida on a map. Probably, no, no, what am I joking? Dang, everybody knows where Florida is. But like, he's like he's like a dumb stoner Canadian, right? A cokehead, and he's like having people screaming out these like ridiculous slurs that are gonna get him shot, right? Like you know, there's a reason YouTube has to limit like the people who have access to these things, right? It's a necessary thing. Like I kind of feel that way about like YouTube censorship policies in general. Like it's necessary. You know, it's a good thing that Rakeda got booted. You know, it's a good thing that Ethan Ralph got booted. Like I don't want these guys on the platform. You know, like I don't like them spouting their nonsense and causing problems for other people. You know, they became less relevant because of like YouTube doing what it did, and that was actually pretty based. Like fuck those guys. Actually, Ricada is still on YouTube, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. Oh, the Ralph clip of him dancing. Oh, that's one of my favorite Ralph clips ever. Like I fucking love mariachi. I wish like I was in an area where I could like listen to mariachi, but like I am not near. any Mexicans, especially not Mexican women. Fuck. And I'm just like, I don't know. I love that. That's hilarious. I guess we could play it where he's just going like, oh, I love that clip. Oh, hang on. Ralph's such an idiot. Holy shit. Ralph's such an idiot. Holy shit. But like, I just love like, and I just love mariachi. I just wish that like, yeah, it'd be nice to listen to some live mariachi music. It would be nice to listen to live music in general. It would be nice to go anywhere in general if there was anywhere to go. If I had any way to get to where I needed to go, you know, if there was only some way I could do that. But no, you gotta work all the time. You know, you gotta work more than anybody else in existence, apparently. You know, gotta sell like billions of books, apparently. Well, not billions. Gotta sell like all the books, more books that I can possibly like. No, it was always unnecessary, right? It's just no. Like I should be working, like I should be writing books. I should be doing the, like working, like I am, but I also should be having fun, right? I should be able to like take time for myself and do stuff like this and not like stream all night covering another code. I keep calling it trace memory. I shouldn't have been like trying to do this thing where I'm trying to like build up this brand. Like it's kind of driving me insane, I think, is like trying to just make this work. It's like it's so ridiculous. um Yeah, new chick. Yeah, what's the deal with the chick thing? Like, I don't know if he's like I haven't bothered keeping up with Ralph, okay? Like I don't care what he does. Like I said last night, the sector is dead. Like it's 100% like gone. It's not coming back. Nobody cares about the new personalities. Like PPP is just um he is like a hanger on basically, right? He's kind of I don't know, his channel that he was building up because like he was being critical of all these channel people. Worski was able to latch onto that, and now they're just kind of doing this thing where they're kind of shitting on all the irrelevant channel personalities. Like I don't know, man. It was always dumb. It always was. I don't advocate for it at all. I don't support it. I don't like how Medicare shield for it. Like you can watch that PKA video where he went on there to talk about wings, and like he spends a lot of time talking about how great Bloodsport's thing is, how it's like the greatest thing ever, and it really gives you like a mindset, an idea of what his mindset was at the time, where he's just like, oh, I'm gonna just watch retards scream at the internet, and I'm gonna like this is gonna be my core source of entertainment for the future because I don't have a real life. I don't have a life outside of streaming and like interacting with these retards who look to me as if I'm their god, right? Like this is the most important thing in my life right now, and I'm gonna keep milking this until I can't possibly do it anymore, right? That was Medicare's mindset at the time, and yeah, he made that relevant. Like I think the big reason why a lot of us got invested in like the Ralph stuff was because of Medicare, because Medicare endorsed them. He endorsed the kill stream and everything they were doing. Like, oh, it's just being fun, like like Mercado does. Oh, we're just having fun, but in reality, it created the most toxic community on the internet that just destroyed a whole bunch of these people. It's just yeah, they never bothered to live real lives, essentially. Like, nope, I'll just turn on a live stream and I'll just scream, every day about, like, Godwinson or whatever. Like, it's just like, who cares? PPP started off going after giants in the community. Yeah, like, it's really weird because there's a lot of parallels between me and PPP in that regard. Because I was kind of doing the same thing. I talked about Ricada, like, before anybody else did. I was talking about that, but like it was my decision to kind of like lay off of it and focus on like the book stuff instead. focus on like an actual creative pursuit, focus on like actual culture and like evolving my craft. And I'm very, very proud of the fact I did that. Like I did not grift off of the Ricada downfall much at all. Like mostly, like I still make Ricada retardations, but the purpose is to like provide historical context and to explain things that might not be obvious to people who don't know the lore. To be said, like I wonder if I might actually know more about the lore than anybody else, but that might not be true. Like Alyssa might know more. I don't know. Like I don't think Alyssa knows that much about the anime stuff. Like I don't think PPP does any either. Like I don't want to come out and call myself like the Ricada historian, but like I do tend to be. For a long time, I did kind of feel that way. Maybe not so much anymore. Maybe there are more people who are more involved than I am. But that was my mindset at one point. Was that like, yeah, I could do this. Like I could build a channel off of doing this. Off of covering Ricada, of Raging Golden Eagle, of like all these Drexel, right? Like I could have talked about that, but like I didn't really go all in on it. Like I just kind of made one video calling them out, and that was it. And even when like I got attraction from like the whole Nostradamus thing, Kiwi Farms discovered that video I did where I predicted Nick's downfall. Yeah, I didn't like exploit that at all. I had no interest in doing it. Like it wasn't about like I didn't want to build my brand off of something like that, and I'm very proud of it. Meanwhile, PPP goes all in, right? He quits his job. He like leaves his best friend. Like he moves in with like this other degenerate, and he's just indulging in all of his retardation, and it's kind of like destroying him. Like I think he's getting fatter. I think he's not like having a normal social life. Like I've caught him lying about certain things. Like he mentioned going to a bar at one point with Worski. Like he was talking about like how he goes to bars and stuff like that. And then he tried to say like in a later stream that like, oh, I don't drink. Well, which is it? PvP. Like it's like he's very like dishonest with the audience and with himself, I think, about like what the nature of his problems are. Like he's a lazy fuck who doesn't want to work, and I don't know. Like he tries presenting himself as this like really upstanding moral person, and he's just not. Like same with what Nick did. Like he's not. I would like to be, but like I don't know. Like I legit think I don't know. I've been thinking about this lately with like how I feel at work and stuff like that. How I want to be friends with people but just can't do it. Like I legit wonder if I'm like legit too traumatized to be a normal person because of like everything that's happened to me over like the past 25 years. Like when I think of everything that's happened, it's like how did I survive that? Like really. It's very very it's been very depressing, honestly. I just can't. I've been struggling with it a lot. And like relating to other people is like impossible because like I don't have any real perspective on what normal people are like or what they do or whatever. And honestly, a part of me doesn't want to know. I'm so happy with what I am. It's like I wonder if like it's the best thing for me would be to just leave and just kind of stay home all the time. Like the best thing for them would be for me to leave and to like not talk to them again because like I'm just so impossible to deal with. Let's see. Hang on. The UAA section. I haven't looked at it. Hmm. Uh, yeah. How long have I been streaming? Has it been an hour? Yeah, about. Uh, I haven't been drinking. I swear. Yeah. I don't drink, but I don't know. This was basically a Ricada Kitchen stream, so I mean, I might as well been drinking. Like shit. I don't know. Like I was thinking lately that like Oh man, I've never gotten drunk in my life, but maybe I should. Maybe I should just have that experience. But then I think about it and I kind of realize that like the instant that happens, like everything's over. You know, the true Cody Lee is gonna come out, and it's just like there will be no like living a normal life after that. It's all just gonna. I am gonna be an alcoholic. I am going to be like destroy everything I have because it takes so much effort to just pretend to be a normal person. Uh, yeah, I keep ranting about this for some reason. I don't know. I never feel like I'm stable unless I'm playing video games. It's odd. Or writing, I suppose, unless I'm focusing on something practical. Hmm. Bojack moment? Well, no. Bojack would drink. Like, that's the thing. I'm not. Okay. Bojack Horseman is. No, don't say that. No. Hey, man, I was never rich and famous. Like, Bojack Horseman has no problems, okay? Like, let's be real here. Like, all he would have to do is stop drinking, and, like, what do you know? His problems are fixed. Like, he has no problems, okay? Like, they would just go away if he would, like, actually work at it, right? It's not, no, Bojack has nothing. He's just a worthless horse. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I yeah. That's why I don't ever want to drink is because like I just have this like very very strong feeling that like it's just going to like destroy my life. Like it's why it's not going to happen. I don't know. Like I feel like that's a big reason why like everybody around me is such a retard is because like they just drink all the time, right? That's all they do. And I become more and more aware that like it does cause problems. It does cause health problems. You look older, like you end up like Ricada basically, and it's crazy to me that people can just willingly choose to ruin their lives like that. Their lives are so perfect that like they can just destroy. They have to destroy them, so they have like a modicum of like struggle in their lives, right? So they don't like they can't imagine what it's like to have like nothing, right? It's not like a it will never be a reality for them ever. Yeah, clubbing. I don't know why. Why would clubbing be fun? You know, like when I go out, I want to go to like a bookstore or like somewhere where like smarter people go. You know, like clubbing just sounds stupid. Like I've never went, have no intention of going. Like the time I was invited, I was just like, no, bitch, fuck off. Like I just have better things to do with my time, right? Always have and always will. Like actually, I'm too old for clubbing now. Come to think of it, but like um yeah, like I just don't understand the mindset that like everybody else is. Where like everybody else is just like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to have fun all the time. I'll work 6 hours a day and then I'll go back to my regular life of just like doing whatever." And then meanwhile, I'm like working like 15 hours a day pretty consistently, uh like struggling like all the time to like live a normal life. And it's really starting to get to me. Like, why is it taking so long to have the things that everyone else has? Yeah, it's crazy. And like I'm having issues like working on American Evil consistently. Like when I do work on it, it goes really really well. But um, like it's I started that book in July. It's January now, so it's like this is my 6-month period. It's probably going to be done by yeah, I'd say like with a little bit less than a year. I don't think it might be closer to the end than I might be expecting, but like I love this book. I'm so over the moon about it, but like I really think at my rate of progress, it really should have been finished before the end of last year. Like, I legit think I could have done it if I had the free time. If I could just stay home and work, I could have done it. Like, I could have written the best book of my career, and I'm wasting my time with things that don't matter. I'm wasting my time doing things that aren't helping my career. Like, I'm doing such great work. People are telling me I'm doing such great work. And it's so fulfilling. Like, the dream has come true. I'm having so much fun. And yet, like, yeah, it's been terrible for sure. The mic is crap. It's like an iPhone 13. It's fairly new. Yeah, money team. Oh, okay, sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Like I bought like a specialty microphone and everyone says it's garbage. But like I switched to this iPhone and like the webcam is better, the microphone is better. Like I don't know what the fuck they're putting in these things, but they're like it's better quality than like actual specially made gear, right? At least the stuff I'm using, right? Like I don't know what the good cameras are. Like I don't understand how like big YouTubers make their images look so clear. Like I can't figure it out. And I can't take the time to figure it out. So being able to like just go live and just like rant about like things in an actual professional way is very refreshing for me, I think. Yeah, probably the software. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what I do, right? Like I actually do record videos in advance during my free time and then post them throughout the week, right? Typically, I'm not recording videos during my work week at all, which is like why you sometimes see me like wearing the same thing and like the same environment. It's like they were recorded back to back, right? Like I legit tried for a while to like get every video of the work week like uploaded on Sunday and like have them play out. But like again, I mentioned this earlier in the stream. Like when you do it that way, you miss major events that happen, right? And like what are you gonna do? Like record another video? Because you already have one coming out that day. So like I end up just scheduling like that one for later. But like it just gets confusing, right? It just like it just feels like a complete waste of time. Like it's like I don't know. Like I want to be on top of news as it happens all the time. I want to be whenever there's no news, I want to be working on my books all the time. Right? Like I don't want anything to really distract me from that. Essentially, it's what I want, and I don't know. I'm just don't have it yet. And it's coming. I'm sure it is, but it's like, it's been like excruciating, like doing what I've been doing, and like I'm at the tail end of it. Like I can tell, Like I've seen the results. I see the numbers. I see the analytics. Like I'm at it, but like I'm at the I'm nearing the point. But it's like crazy to me to think that like I went through all of this and there was no support from other people at all. Like nobody cared about me. Nobody like gave me advice or help or like made suggestions or were there for me or even like were really nice to me, right? It was all just well outside of like the community. The community, my community has been great to me. I have been very grateful for all of your kind words and support. But like when it comes like the people in my personal life, like it's the quite the opposite, quite the opposite indeed. Um, DBDR moment. Hey, wait, what are you talking about? No, no, I'm like the opposite of black pill. What are you talking about? I'm nothing like DBDR. What are you talking about? I'm like offended, like that you would say that. Like I'm not sitting here saying everything is a cope. Like come on. Like I am the opposite of black pill. You fucker. Wait, but I said no. Like I'm not. Man, I'm offended by that. Like black pilled, really. Like I make fun of black pillars. Like I don't like them. Like I think they're full of shit. I think they don't try hard enough at whatever it is they're trying to do. Like I think they're just making excuses for themselves, right? Like I've talked about this when it comes to DBDR for before, but like by the way it sounds, he legit is in a better position than I was at his age. Like by the way it sounds. But like because he's just like spurging out about it all the time in public, like it's oh hang on, am I still live? Did I go dark? Yeah, black pillars call everything a code. That is like the most obnoxious thing I've seen from these people. How how like they always just try to say that like, oh, there is no good in the world. It's all just a cope. like, like I hate black pillars. I really do. Especially when like this used to be something I would do. Like I used to like browse Reddit or whatever and try to find like the worst possible like life stories I could possibly find. And like I could never find a single one that was like as terrible as mine. It was like this really just crazy thing that so many people think they're like struggling and that no one cares about them when obviously they do. Like DBDR will make videos talking about like, oh, I don't have a girlfriend. I'll never have a girlfriend. No, no woman will ever want a sub five male. And then he'll talk about how he went out with his like to a bar with like his high school one-itis or whatever. Like, bro, at least she like talks to you. You know, that's more than a lot of people have. But like it's like he talks about like, oh, I'm so lonely, but like he always talks about like hanging out with his friends, like the wingman. Like it's like, bro, like having a hot GF is not gonna fix your problems, okay? Like just like it didn't fix my problems. Like okay, like you need to just accept that you're gonna have to work if you're gonna make something of yourself, and I just don't see that in the vast majority of people these days, right? They just want to make excuses for like why their lives are so terrible, but like none of them actually try, none of them put an effort in. Mm. Uh, like they just want to make excuses. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're still live. Okay. Um, hmm. Let's go silent and mess with him. No, don't do that. Nah. Hmm. Really? In front of a chick? Like, really? Like, you never, ever, ever tell a chick about your problems. Like, never. They are not relatable to her, right? If you talk about how no one cares about you, she just assumes that, like, that you're not looking in the right places or whatever, right? If you talk about, like, uh, what's a good example? Like, they assume you're not asking for help, basically. Because that's what they always tell you. It's like, oh, go to therapy. Go to therapy. They'll help. No, they didn't. Okay, I don't want to tell my therapy story because it's like kind of retarded. But it's I don't know. It makes me okay. Nah. No, I probably shouldn't talk about that. Like, I don't like talking about, like, those kind of things. It's just like, it's why I don't like therapy. Is what I'm getting at. I do not believe that uh that that a woman would ever help me try to fix my problems. Like, I just don't think that would ever happen. Yeah, yeah, women should be the last thing on a black pillar's mind. I agree with that, right? Because, like, that was my mindset when I was in, like, high school or something, was that, like, okay, if I get a girl who actually cares about me, I can, like, have someone there to support me as I try to fix my problems, fix all of these things that are obviously my fault, right? Get my life in order, actually, help me, like, establish myself and stuff like that. If I just do that, like, I'll be set. And yeah, that didn't happen, right? Like, you need to be your own person. You can't just expect a woman to fix your problems, right? That's not good for her. That's not good for you. So, like, you need to be, be a better person, essentially. And that is what I did. Well, I mean, I was doing that long before that. But, like, the issue that, like, I come to realize over the past 5 years, it was never my fault. Is, like, the issue, right? Like, all of my problems basically amount to, like, the fact that, like, nobody cares about me at all. And that realization has kind of traumatized me a little bit, and I just don't know if I'll ever get over it. I don't think so at this stage. It feels like it's going to be a lifelong, like, crippling thing of just, like, this expectation that, like, everybody I interact with is going to fuck me over in some way. Um, it's happened, like, over and over again, and I don't know. Like, it hasn't happened in a long time, but, like, those issues, like, the thought of it still, like, is kind of pervasive. Like, one of the reasons I think I'm struggling with the idea of, like, commitment and getting married is because, like, um, I don't like the idea of not getting rid of someone if I feel she needs to be getting rid of, right? Like, if she turns out to be someone that she's, like, completely different than I thought she was, like, I would need to get rid of her. Like, the idea of, like, hmm, getting in this position where I could be hmm, unhappy is, like, distressing. It's like, I don't know. It's like I'm in this mindset where I don't even want to talk to a girl unless, like, she's perfect, and I feel like that's the wrong mindset to be in, because you've been surprised by people you interact with. People are, like, way better than you think they are, or they think you are, and, like, you've had, like, very real connections with, like, people you didn't really expect from. And yeah, like, with I don't know, but, like, the idea of being with someone together, like, I'm so happy now like I'm so like happy with the way things are going now. Like the idea of like changing anything is like distressing. You know, the idea of anything ruining what I have now is like distressing, and I just can't handle it. I just can't handle it. Mm. Like there's a girl now that likes me, and I'm just kind of like, well, obviously, well, actually several, but like there's one that I'm seriously considering, and it's like I don't know, like is it a good idea? Like should I? I don't even. I'm just so uncomfortable with like with even considering it. Ugh. Uh, Not having a girlfriend, that's hilarious. Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Well, it's not about the hobbies, it's about like the work schedule, right? Like I don't think it's possible to have a family and like work the way I'm working, right? Work 15 hours a day, like work what I'm doing. Like it's just it doesn't make any sense to me. Like it feels like I wouldn't be there for them, and like that's not what I want. Like that's not what I want at all. And like until I can get to the point where I can work significantly less than what I'm doing now, it just feels like it's not it wouldn't be viable. But then if I work less, I won't have as much money, and that's an issue in and of itself. Like how am I going to fix all of these problems that were caused by other people? Like Ricada is like a better example of what I have in mind than Ralph is, because like I would never like fuck a whore like Ralph does, and then like fuck like the thing about like Ricada is I think Ricada's situation is really a really indication of what I'm worried about is like marrying the first person that that I really think is like viable, right? Like immediately getting my life together and then just going like okay, time to get married, and then just like going for like whoever first shows interest, and not really thinking, not being able to have the opportunity to like really wonder, like figure out like how it's gonna work or anything, and then just slowly over time just being in this like absolute train wreck of a marriage that's just honestly I would argue is like worse than a divorce, because like there's hope of recovery after divorce. Like with Ricada, like he's destroying his life, his wife's life, like his children's lives. Like that to me is like one of the scariest things about Ricada right now is that like his children are suffering because of what he's doing, because of his marriage is that terrible. And like that to me is just like no, the completely unacceptable. Like I hope I would never ever do that to a child. The idea of that like really distresses me. Like if you watch that like Trace Memory, another Code R stream I did, like you saw how I acted with like Ashley's dad like spurging out at her for like questioning his motivations about like working on another rather than going to look for Jessica, right? Like I talked about like how much that annoyed me, and like that's a big reason why. Like I take the idea of being a parent, of being a father, like really seriously, and yet I really, really, really don't think I can do it. And like there should be people there to help me with this issue. My father, for instance, but yeah, no one's there. That's not a concern. Like, oh, just give me more money, bro. Like, no, like, fuck you. Yeah, it's not like I'm not thinking about these things or I don't care, but it's like, why does no one else seem to care? Okay. Ah. Boop, ba doop, ba doo. Ah. Do we have any? Okay. Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Still got plenty of battery life left. We spent all night charging it, so I guess on a full charge it can last pretty long. You know, kind of like how I get so much more done when I don't have to work all night. When I don't have to like waste my time. Yeah, the social media age like seems terrible. Like everyone has these like really weird ideas on like what like your life should be like. I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm like different from other people in that regard. I don't know because I've talked about this before, like how annoyed I am with like ASMR channels, like traveling around the world and shit like that. Like I don't know, like I don't know. Is it jealousy or am I like legit upset that like they're wasting their time doing this? Like I don't know. It just doesn't. Doopy doopy doo. I don't want to talk about my job on stream. Like I've always considered my real job to be a writer, right? That's always what I've been aiming to do, and yeah, I have success with that now. And I really need to be focusing more on like making that like a millionaire idea thing, right? That's what I should be doing. Like that's the issue now. Is that like I do have the $1 million idea like out there making money, and yet like I can't take the time to really promote it and really make it work. Like and it's just like it's so frustrating. Like it's gonna happen eventually, but like when? Like why is it taking so long? Like purely because like I've had to like spend so much time like not working on it. It's just so it's unbelievable. Uh, Remote. I don't know if remote's for me. I mean, I went for it, but like I think I'm happy with the way things are. You know, like I like promoting my books through YouTube, and I like what I'm doing. Like I think I just want to keep doubling down on that and keep like find success through that. Like I just don't. I think having a job in general is kind of toxic for me because it's just like takes away from like every all the experiences that like I need to be having. Oh, I don't know. I've been like watching booktubers lately, and it's been striking me a little bit how like I don't talk enough about books on this channel, and it's not because like I have no interest. It's because I don't read enough. It's because like I didn't have time. You know, I was so busy trying to write that like I never really read as much as I should. Like it's so weird. Like I've been working so much that I completely lost sight of what like I really like doing. It's disgusting. I just don't. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. I keep getting worried that like I'm not working enough, but I don't know. Maybe I think tonight I'll probably take some time to work on American Evil some more. I don't know. Maybe after the stream I'll work on it some more. I actually did like a little bit of work just now. I don't know. I just got like every time I get agitated about like not doing enough on it, I always take some time to like look at the book and look at the manuscript and like decide what I want to do next. Like it's crazy how I had this really cool idea for the direction I wanted to take like this I guess we'll call it an arc in the story, and just how I was so fired up about it, and I still haven't gotten around to writing it at all. It's crazy. I'm so enthusiastic about it, so passionate, and yet it just hasn't happened yet. Now the good news is I have a lot of stuff already. Yep, 100,700, 296. So yeah, this should be the longest book I've ever written so far, and I just hope people enjoy it. I just hope people like it. That's all I want. Okay, maybe we should talk about gaming stuff, or maybe I should like sign off. I'm kind of tired. I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Let's see here. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. I don't think anything's happening. PALWORLD players mortified as people realize they can sell profit by RIP Pokemon. Yeah, that's what we were supposed to be talking about, wasn't it? PALWORLD almost 200K players on a weeknight. Yeah, sure, just like Baldur's Gate 3, huh? We lost to a bootleg game, Poke Bros. Literally Pokemon with guns. Yeah, I don't think anybody cares about PALWORLD. Like, that's the thing, is that, like, all of these things just surface and then they just die, like, immediately. Like, they're not relevant at all. They can't succeed. It's just, no, it's not even worth talking about, honestly. Like, other than, like, dismissing the claim that it's gonna, like, destroy Pokemon, I don't think there's anything to talk about when it comes to PALWORLD. Is Ashley the new Literally Me character? I'm nothing like Ashley, come on. Yeah, I've done that once, but it wasn't like popular. I don't know. I don't like doing it. I like just kind of working whenever. Like scheduling it, like I don't think scheduling a stream really works for me. I don't know. Yeah, is there any other news to talk about? Sorry I went so off topic. Like I'm trying to just kind of like talk about a variety of topics on the show, but unfortunately, this has been like the primary thing I've been talking about, thinking about is just how I hate saying depressed because that's not really true, but like just how frustrated I am at like the current situation. I hear you. Oops, with what's happening and stuff like that. Uh, oh, there was an Xbox Direct. Nobody cares. You will know nothing and like it. Video game resellers exposed. TemTem Nintendo Switch. Man, none of these people are talking about all the new games that have been confirmed for Switch. Huh? They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to admit it at all. Yeah, there's got to be something to talk about. I don't know. It feels like nothing's happening ever. Like it's all just like people just trying to get viewers. It's just like nobody's interesting. Nobody's fun. Like I really should just be playing Dragon Quest Monsters right now, or like writing or something, reading a book. Like I might read some manga after this. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I keep. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Hang on, what does chat say? Where are we? Wait, hang on. Yeah, we're still live. Okay. It's made by Bethesda, really? Oh wow, I didn't even bother looking at it because I really didn't care. Like, I'm just kind of like, everyone always bleats on about some random license game. Like, oh, Rocksteady is going to produce a new DC game. And it's going to be the greatest thing ever. They're going to make Superman work. And what do? They make a game where you kill Superman as Harley Quinn. Right? Like, the complete opposite of what everybody wanted. Like, they gloat on about, like, Spider-Man 2 and all this stuff. Like, it's just, it's not going to work, honestly. Like, they are becoming increasingly reliant on these stagnant franchises. There's no growth, there's no evolution, there's no creativity. Like, it's always the same thing over and over and over again, right? They don't even have like different characters at this point. Like, oh, it's Indiana Jones in this game. Like, really? Like, really? You couldn't have come up with something better? Like, you couldn't have come up, like, innovated on the idea? Like, you couldn't have done something original? It's like, it's crazy how there's just no creativity at all in the Western video game world. Now, that's not the case in Japan. Like, it was crazy. I was just watching this this random video that came up on my feed about some game where, like, you're some guy from, like, another world who's, like, viewing another world through, like, a screen with like a bunch of other people, and you're watching this girl like explore a labyrinth, and like you interact with her and like learn more about the setting and stuff like that. It's like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but like it was like this really interesting like novel idea that I've never heard of, and I never heard of the game before. Beyond the Labyrinth, it was called. And I was just kind of like, wow, that's like looks so cool and unique. Like I wanted to play it, and I think it was like a Japan import or something. Like I don't really know anything about it, but like I I'm looking at this random game that looks low budget as hell, and I'm just holy shit, this looks like right up my alley. This looks like something I would want to play. I hardly ever feel that way about Western games. Like, never. There is no innovation, there is no creativity, there's nothing. It's just like the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's disgusting. Let's see. I probably should like end the stream here. I don't know. Like I really got off topic for quite a bit there. I don't know if I should end it here, if I should try to end it on a lighter note or whatever. I probably made myself look like a bitch. I don't know. I mean, that's the problem sometimes, though, is that you have to address your problems and you have to fix them, and yeah, they are getting fixed. That's the reality. Yeah, all I need now is more money. And on a high note, yeah, like I don't know what to do. Yeah, I would like to flip it around, but I can't think of what else to talk about. Nobody's talking about anything. Hmm. Hmm. Boogie, depress. Okay, let's see. What's this?
Tell me Dad was alive. I promised your dad, he said. Look after her. I'll be back for her someday.
I've been waiting for you.
Yes, yes,
Why did you never tell me Dad was alive?
yes. It's getting me so fired up to play it. Oh man, I love Another Code R so far. Cannot wait to finish it. Hopefully, I might fire up a stream tonight and do it. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe. It's such a good game. the Switch 2 rumors. Like, you want me to... Like, I talked about that a little bit, right? How I think they're all fake. And how they're coping. Like, Ace Combat 7 just got announced for Switch. They wouldn't release something like that on... They wouldn't release a Switch, that game on Switch if, like, a new hardware was coming out, like, when they said it was coming out. Like, allegedly September. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's have some fun. Oh, this might get my stream demonetized. Fuck. I guess it doesn't matter, but.
I've come for peace. No, you tell me no, but you're way too slow. I'll send you both two down the lava below. The princess goes free,
And I'll take to me.
I don't need a Toad or a Luigi with me.
Wait.
You dirty plumber, I challenge you to a card race.
Yeah, I've been listening to this like all weekend. It's been great.
His mama's cute
Hey. Meow.
The plumber's poking at me from declining a gardening challenge. What are your terms?
What's the catch? If you win, you must take your sorry ass back to here. And also you will have to plumb plug.
And
What if I win? That Mario voice is better than the new one.
Junior and Smash.
I can't believe they made this.
Trust me, son, it's the only way.
But what's it says?
Cause he's
The lemon tear.
Fine. And let the card race begin.
Most of the musical stuff is terrible, but like the stuff that's good is like amazing.
I'm the plumber Koopa's stomach. Check my right, I don't need Yoshi.
I'm the plumber, I can do it, get scared.
I beat the hedgehog and
The bandicoot's tail.
There's
Never been a rock race that I've ever failed.
I
Can't wait to beat the Junior and Smash.
I'm gonna find the smash that broke out your ass.
I take it down like I'm taking out the trash. No!
Come on, son.
Bring the thumbs out. There's just no way that you can win. He wasn't asked to lead.
Listen to me. We'll win
The racing goes, he got the modeling.
Now listen, son. You're gonna up air spam. You're getting comboed every day. Unless we find a power up and win
In this thing.
Dad, we've lost most every year. I tried to frame him for graffiti. That was weird. Now we've got to take this plumber down. Come on, son, now it's time for a blue shell. I hear you, Papa, now it's time for a blue shell. Call Magic Cooper, cause we need a good speed spell. You crawl through pipes and now you're covered in poo smell.
Now we got
to take this plumber down.
He's gonna spike me if I don't have a blue shell. Come on, son, cause it's time for a blue shell. We'll drive by you, go back to your hometown. How you brother off, you got the boss. We don't shortcut, straight to your loss. We cut the corners, put ahead. You could have been one, go back to bed. This is our kingdom
Of royalty, you're the plumber, we are the bees. We are the bees, we are the bees, we are the bees, we are the bees.
We are the bees, 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 we are the bees,
We are the bees, we are the bees, we are the bees.
we are the bees. You guys ought to be ashamed. Come on the beach, you're
Coming with me.
Taste my uptilt low tier. No! Mom, yeah. It's just a toad. Oh no. You've come so far. It was a hassle. The princess is in another castle. No! A curse on you, Junior, and a curse on you, Cooper. So long, Bowser.
Yeah, I love that. That's hilarious. That's just fantastic. I love like the creative things that people can do with those kind of things. I wish I was musical. It was one of those talents I wish I had. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I think we're at the end of the stream here because, like, I just don't think I have anything else to talk about today. I need to get in the habit of, like, an hour and a half every day should be fine. We can talk about, like, whatever's happening, the drama that's been surfacing or, like, whatever happened. Like, I think that's really all I needed to talk about with, like, PALWORLD, and we talked about nothing else today. So, with PALWORLD, being denounced for Nintendo, like, who cares about PALWORLD? Like, I don't want to hear about it again. I'm going to, like, condemn it until the end of time. I'll be making fun of it just like I do TemTem and Yokai Watch and fucking Digimon, right? Like, PALWORLD is not shit, okay, is what I'm getting at. Like, I am just real talk getting fired up about, like, going up against this nonsense, going up against PALWORLD, going up against the gaming YouTubers, going up against Angry Joe. Like, there will be retribution for what these people have done to us. And we are going to talk about it on stream. We are going to make fun of them. We are going to, like, address the fact that Nintendo is superior, right? We are going to do the best we can with what we have, right? So, yeah, until next time, I will see you all next time. Yes, books are in the description.